is Lisa. Today I'd like to make this Valentine card, and it's not exactly a shaker card. These little hearts do move just a little bit, but it's more of a window. I'm using some acetate. This is transparency film, and it's the kind of transparency that came from the old, when you had overhead projectors and you would write on it, that kind of very, very clear transparency. You can use the kind of transparency that you print on, but it does have a little bit of film to it, so you don't get quite as clear a view as you do with the regular acetate. If you don't have anything like that, you can use packing materials. A lot of times different scrapbooking products will have some acetate in the packing materials, and some other products will. So you just need a couple of sheets of small pieces of that, and one piece of 8.5 by 11 cardstock. We're going to use some washi tape, some scrap papers for our hearts, and I'll show you how I did the folding on this. You take a piece of 8.5 by 11 cardstock. This happens to be Paper Tray Inks Dark Chocolate. I use Stampin' Up! For this. You want something pretty sturdy. Paper Tray Inks is a tad heavier, but you want something really sturdy in terms of your cardstock to keep this standing up good. I've cut it 4.25 by 11, and then I cut out a rectangle that is 3.25 by 4.5, and I'll have those measurements on the screen, so if I say them wrong, look at the ones on the screen for that sizes. And then we're going to do some scoring. I also cut another piece that has that same inside measurement, and then the outside measure is just a 1/2 inch wider all the way around. So again, I'll have these measurements on my blog and on the screen. I'm going to use the scoreboard. I'm going to score this so that the card could fit in a regular envelope if you wanted. So we're going to have our first score here at 5.5. Our next at 6.75. At 9.25. And 10.5. Okay. And then we're going to score this, or fold this, so that this top folds down. This one folds this direction to make the part of the base. The rest of the base folds up from the back. And then this little 1/2 inch piece is going to fold this way, and it's going to get tucked inside to form the rest of the card. So that's going to be the frame and the base of our card. And then this will go on the back once we get some more things assembled. So we'll set that aside, and I've got a couple of pieces of acetate here. I'm just going to lay one of those out, and I'm going to go ahead and start punching and letting my hearts just fall right on this. It's nice if you use a paper that's printed on both sides, because then you could see it on the back, but you don't have to do that. Okay, I'm going to take my other piece of acetate and run a little bead of glue around the edge, and I just want this to be very, very light amount of glue around the very edge. And I cut this slightly smaller than the width and height of the card, so it's probably 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. Okay. And I want to carefully lay this over the top of the other one, and you'll see my hearts are starting to pick up a little bit. The static cling kind of gets them there. Let's have some really staticky paper in that one. It's the first time those have done that. Okay. All right, now, and don't worry if you get a little bit of glue sort of towards the inside, because we're going to be adding some washi tape, and that will cover up some of the edges. Okay, so now I have my hearts encased in the acrylic, and I'm ready to add this to the card front. And again, we're going to run a little bead of glue, and I don't need a lot at this point to hold this in place. We're going to be adding, as I say, some washi tape, and that's going to help hold things in. And here is the front of our card. Give that a second to dry. Okay. Now before I put the back on, I want to add my layer of washi tape. And you don't have to do this washi tape. I cut this on the silhouette, so I got a really neat, even cut. The first one I did, I cut this by hand, which you could do using a craft knife, and I didn't get quite as even an edge, and that's why I put the washi tape on there, but I like the look of the washi tape. I like how that adds to things. So I've got several washis here, and I think I'm going to stick to some blue I was using on my other sample card. And I'm just going to do a long strip. With a piece that will wrap to the back. Pull this around, and then we're ready to glue our brown frame on top of this. That's pretty close. I got this one trimmed down a little bit more. That's okay. It's going to cover up my edges. And what I want to do down here at the bottom is I want to leave this to where I put a little glue in there, and I can put even a little bit more of the Tombow, because what Tombow adhesive does is when you glue it and you let it dry without sticking to anything, it becomes a tacky adhesive, which is kind of what I want for this. So I just want to leave the bottom edge turned up and let that glue just completely dry. And I probably have a little more there than I really need. But I need a little bit of this down there. I'm just going to let that dry, and you'll see the purpose of that in a few moments. Now what I have is kind of a tacky surface, and I'm just going to take the back of this and put it up under there. And then that can be removed, can easily be taken off. That's just a temporary hold, and you get this really nice little stand. We're going to put some words on it, and I cut these on the silhouette. You could stamp something on a banner and go across there as well. That would look really good. Let's do our zig marker. And so we have a cute card. Now, my Stampin' Up! One, their cardstock is good, very good, but it's not quite as sturdy as the paper tray ink. So in order to get this one to not fall over, because we don't want our card falling over, I went ahead and put some extra weight down here, and then I did some washi tape that sort of wrapped around. So if I wanted to mail this one, I would have to fold it up like that and just mail it in a little bit larger envelope. Now for this one, I could take it apart and probably put a little post-it on there about how it assembles and mail it to somebody this way, and just write my message on the inside, put a little post-it to fold this around and tuck the flap under. And then they would get their card and see what to do with it. This is going to my husband, so I will just probably go ahead and give him the card. And this one's wanting to fold over a little bit. This is where I could add a little bit of embellishment down here at the bottom, and I could even do a little washi tape going all the way across. But this is staying pretty good and not falling for me. So I like that appearance there. And you notice I didn't worry about the dot on the eyes. Things like that don't bug me too much, but there was a dot, and I could have put that on there if I wanted to. So I think it makes a fun card when you see the little hearts caught between the two panes of acetate, so they look like they're caught between glass, and it just makes a really cool Valentine treat. And of course you could do this for other things. You could put little flowers in there, other shapes for your acetate. It wouldn't have to be a rectangular shape. You could do a round or some other type of shape. So you can have a little bit of fun with it. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I hope you enjoyed this fun card.